What is up, everybody? Welcome back to RacingNews.com and welcome back to my updated Preakness picks. Well, if you saw the first video I did for the Preakness, I picked Muth to win the race. Well, he's now out of it, so we're going to kind of re-handicap this thing. A field of 8 now with the number 4 Muth out of it. I'm not going to go through every horse again in order. I'm just going to kind of give you, when I handicap this is how I saw it. I think you've got 6 options basically, and I'll kind of go from your, in my opinion, your worst option versus your best option and what actually I ended up doing as far as a win pick. So if you want to go, we'll call it the Rich Strike option and just pick number 1 Mugatu or number 2 Uncle Heavy, because you just think, hey, Rich Strike won a race one time in Triple Crown, and I just think things are going to get crazy. I don't even care about looking at the data. I think there's going to be a huge upset. Well, those are your horses, the 1 or the 2, Mugatu or Uncle Heavy. If you want to go to more of the quote-unquote logical long shots in the race, you could go to the Dwayne Lucas pair. So we'll call option 2 the Lucas option, and look at the 6 Seize the Gray or the 7 Just Steal. I call them a little more logical because they've done a little bit more and ran a little bit faster than the 1 or the 2. But the 6 Seize the Gray, coming off a win in the Pat Day Mile, if you think he's going to get better, going to maybe get towards the lead, kind of a newer running style for him and be able to hold on, he makes a little bit of sense coming off that win. Number 7 Just Steal, if you're like, okay, draw a line through the Derby. Look, he only got beat 2 lengths by Muth 2 races back. If he can run that kind of race, he can win, and he's going to be a long price. Great. Yeah, I think if you want to go that route, you can make cases for those 2 horses. So the Lucas option is option 2. All right. I'll go through them now. I guess the Mystik Dan option will be option 3. And it's just, if he runs his best race, he's probably a little better than this group now that Muth is out. I mean, his best figure is better than most of anybody, pretty much everybody in this race. He is an inconsistent horse. I think the biggest thing is, while his best race is a little bit better, it's not much better than everybody else, and he's going to be a much shorter price than everybody else. So I put the Mystik Dan option as your 3rd option here. I would not be shocked if he wins. I'm kind of rooting for him to win. I think a Triple Crown try at Saratoga would be pretty awesome. I just think at that price, he's pretty tough to choke down. And to kind of what Mike Somich has always said, if you didn't go to the wedding, don't go to the funeral. He was 18-1 at the Kentucky Derby. I did not attend that wedding, unfortunately. He's probably going to be like 6-5, 7-5 here. If he wins, great. If you want to play him at that price, if you feel like he's much better than this field, then 6-5 or 7-5 is fine. But I don't think he is much better than this field, so I'm not going to pick the favorite here. Not going to be shocked if he wins. I'm a little bit against him here. Number 5, Mystik Dan. Okay, your 4th option is the number 8 Tuscan Gold. It's the Chad Brown option, basically. We've seen him do this, whether it be cloud computing, early voting, winners of the Preakness, or last year Blazing Sevens, who got 2nd in the Preakness. Tuscan Gold kind of fits the mold. Lightly raced, maybe could have pressed on and went to the Derby, didn't do it. Came here, pointed for here pretty much the whole time, scratched out of the Peter Pan last week to run here. So look, I mean, it's the Chad Brown option. It's been pretty damn good. I really can't, argue with anybody if you're going to try to go with number 8 Tuscan Gold. He makes a lot of sense to me as well. The 5th option you could go with is the Bob Baffert option. That's the number 9 Imagination. I think this is a horse that I definitely think he kind of runs to the level of his competition. I think they've got to work that out of him. Every race you watch of his, he pretty much just tries to glue with the horse running as fast as him, and just, if he edges him at the wire, he wins, and if he gets, he loses, he loses it right at the wire. 6 starts, 2 wins, 4 seconds. I nearly picked him to win the race. I'm not going to be shocked at all. I think a lot of people kind of have it in their head that he's going to go gate to wire and he's going to have a very easy lead. I don't know that he's that type. I do think he'll be on the lead, but I don't think he's one to try to run away from you. I think he'll just kind of set a controlled tempo about a length and a half ahead of everybody. I don't think he's the type that's just going to skirt away, though, when they ask him. I think he will kind of wait around on some horses. If they've got that habit broke and they can get him to separate, then it gets interesting, and then he's going to be really hard to run down. But I kind of think he'll just kind of spin his wheels, wait for horses, and then accelerate once they get there. He still could win even with that strategy. It's kind of like, okay, can he win the photo? I think he's going to be up there with a big chance. If you're picking him, I nearly did it. So I really couldn't disagree with you at all. I think he's very logical. Finally, the 6th option, the option I went with, I kind of just went with the horse that's the most consistent of this bunch and has ran in the biggest races. I went number 3, Catching Freedom on top. I really like what Brad Cox has had to say about him in the last couple of weeks. Kind of talked about how the Louisiana Derby is such a kind of a far space from the Kentucky Derby. So it makes it easier to wheel him back in 2 weeks. I thought that was interesting. And look, even with that being said, Brad Cox really isn't the type to run him back on 2 weeks rest very often. So that kind of tells me he thinks the horse came out of the Kentucky Derby pretty well. He thinks he's doing pretty well. Brad Cox is also not the type of guy just to throw a horse in the race for the hell of it, because it's a big race. If he's here, he thinks that horse has a chance to win. I think he's the classiest of this bunch. Does that mean he's going to win? No. Does the classiest horse win every race? No. I kind of just think he's really consistent. He's really classy. I think he has the ability to sit a little bit closer than he has been in his last couple of races. So I'm going to hope that Flavien Prat works out a trip. Maybe we sit mid-pack. And really, I'm hoping Mystik Dan doesn't fire his absolute best. And Imagination still is that horse that just kind of waits around for horses. And if that's the case, I think Catching Freedom's going to win this thing. So I went with option 6, the class option, we'll call it. Number 3, Catching Freedom on top for me now. So to kind of review, I am 3, 9, 8, 5 for this race now. And we'll just see how it goes. But 3, 9, 8, 5 is kind of how I went. And I will say with Muth in the race, he was up here and again, this is just my opinion. He was up here and the rest were a cut below. I say 3, 9, 8, 5. You could flip that order very easily. I think they're very, very evenly matched. I think it'll make for a good race. I also think, Catching Freedom might be the third choice in this race as well. And if I think they're pretty evenly matched, I'll go with a little bit of the higher price here. So I'm going to go with the Preakness now with number 3, Catching Freedom on top. All right, guys, thanks everybody for watching this video. Hit that like button if you like it. Hit subscribe if you really like it. Want to get alerted anytime we do videos like this. And most importantly, good luck if you're betting the Preakness on Saturday.